Lo, I am known as Elias, in the bloom of my 29th year, and behold, I have ever been the neglected offspring, the one whom none did heed save when in need of some boon or assistance. If my younger brother Lucas did covet the last crumb of cake, indeed, he hath secured it. If he did chance upon the trials of learning, 'twas but a brief tempest upon the vast ocean of his youth. Upon the triumph of my college finals, my mother did beseech me to cease my boasting, declaring that should I ever utter such words again, I would be met with her steadfast admonition. Oh, why dost thou ever strive to compete? Lucas doth seek more assistance than thou art able to provide. I have arrived to reside in concord with it. Neither in mirth, nor in peace, yet I did find my way. With labor and unwavering resolve, I toiled earnestly, mine eyes set upon the road that lay before me, and thus did I craft a life of mine own, far removed from the fireside of my childhood. In that distant sphere of artifice, I have gained my station, and established my dwelling in a serene haven, a short journey away, whereupon I have wrought that which I may justly call my own. Though I didst make my visit, send forth missives of birth, remember the days of our joining, and attend to the whims of those about me, yet the current of affection didst never run in like measure. Indeed, not from my own mother, I implore thee. Lucas did ever remain the very fulcrum of our kin, drawing all hearts unto him. He bore an enchanting charm, one that did capture the souls of many, a way of transforming each blunder into a charming oddity. He did traverse through labors and fetters, and once did bring destruction upon the family coach. Yet, on each occasion, my mother did dismiss it with a gentle smile and a phrase, "He doth merely seek to comprehend his course." Jealousy, I do assure thee, was not my burden, nor in the fashion that others may perceive. I sought not this tempestuous life, fraught with strife. What I did seek was acknowledgment, a gentle sign of my being. Hark, a moment swift as the passing breeze. Mine own heartfelt gratitude I bestow upon thee, Elias. That utterance bore not the semblance of a mere afterthought, nor did it carry the weight of a plea for coin. The final rift did not arise from a moment of great spectacle. It did begin with a letter, carried forth on the breath of the heavens. Mine own mother did send forth a letter to our kindred, including aunts, cousins, and even those relations far removed, whom I had not beheld in many a year, calling us all to the banquet in celebration of Lucas's natal day. It shall be a splendid festivity, a testament to his thriving, she did inscribe. A fleeting instant to render tribute to the gallant spirit he doth transform into. That line didst make me pause in deep reflection. Lucas did draw nigh to the age of 27. Once more, he found himself adrift in the realm of employment, returning to the hearth of his youth, and still beseeching the grace of many a soul upon that missive scroll for coin. Yet truly it is good. Upon the calendar, I did mark the day, securing a respite from labor, and even did procure a card, along with a gift most thoughtful, a framed chart of all the cities that Lucas hath oft expressed a longing to see in days yet to come. Upon the hour designated, I didst make mine entrance, clad with great care, and bearing a gift, wrapped in splendid finery. The feast did take place within a charming abode nestled in the very core of the town, a locale bedecked with gentle light and servings most meagre, bordering on the ludicrous. Mine own mother hath already graced the scene, presiding o'er the lengthy table, radiant as if 'twere her day of birth. She did summon me forth with that counterfeit smile she wearied for the company of others, and granted unto me the usual, "How charming it is that thou couldst grace us with thy presence. Not a solitary embrace shall be granted. There doth exist no warmth, but a mere obligation, clad in the vestments of civility." Behold, Lucas did arrive but a scant 10 minutes past, in the company of his lovely lady and a gathering of companions, whose faces were strangers to mine. All did arise as if the very essence of nobility had adorned the chamber with their esteemed presence. The joy did rise, the accolades did flow, and I, as always, faded into the gloom. In mine endeavors to partake in merry conversation with mine uncle, he did steadfastly meander into narratives of Lucas's lofty ambitions and infinite promise. Mine own cousin didst inquire whether I still labored in that coding vocation, and then, with swift transition, did beseech me to lend mine aid to Lucas in the forging of an apt conception he hath envisioned. With heavy heart, I did take my leave and sought the refuge of the tavern, longing for but a brief interlude of solitude. When the hour of supper didst arrive, I had resigned myself to the absence of discourse most profound. My heart's longing was but to share in nourishment, to offer a token of love, to express merry birthday greetings, and then to return to my dwelling. Yet, truly, the heavens, or mayhap my mother, did weave together schemes most unexpected. As the delectable repast did present itself, so likewise did the eloquent speeches take their flight. In the dawn of this occasion, Lucas didst take the stage to deliver a discourse, as was most fitting, a fabric interlaced with mirth and sincerity, wherein he did convey his heartfelt thanks, embellished with jests concerning the serendipity of his wondrous support, which hath led him to this very hour. With a heart full of gratitude, he did convey his thanks unto his cherished one, his steadfast companions, and at length, his mother, who, as though beckoned by the hands of destiny, did weep a tear that fell in exquisite accord with the occasion. Not a whisper of mine existence, not even a passing glance dost thou bestow. Then did my mother arise from her seat. She did lift her chalice high and shone, that measured artful smile she doth reserve for those brief moments she longs to be inscribed in the annals of remembrance. Let us raise our cup, she did proclaim, to the offspring who doth bear true significance. A brief silence did abide, a transient sigh within the hour, yet plentiful it proved to be. Long enough for each pair of eyes at the table to direct their gaze upon me. The joy that followed was nothing if not manifest. Mine uncle did laugh with great joy. Mine cousin didst emit a most ungracious snort into her chalice. Even Lucas did bestow that self-satisfied, half-laughter he oft employed when another did strike a blow at my expense. In my breast did a fervor arise, not from the flames of anger at the beginning, but rather from the keen sting of shame. To be thus cast aside in the public's watchful gaze by the fair lady who did pledge to hold me dear without condition. In the beginning, I spake not a single word, but a smile did I bestow. With a deliberate nod, he did yield his consent. Then did I delve into mine own jacket-pocket and extract a white envelope. Nothing of great import, I beseech thee. Behold, a humble sealed letter I have held in mine own keeping for a span most lengthy. With intent, I did arise from my place, traversing the breadth of the table, and with gentle hand, I laid it before my mother. If this evening be devoted to the one who doth possess our hearts, I did declare, with a voice firm yet unwavering, then this must assuredly be his rightful due. Upon the chamber, silence didst descend. In silence doth the reign of peace prevail. Mine mother didst gaze upon the envelope as if it were a creature with sharp fangs. In the beginning, she did not so much as touch it with her hand. She didst cast her gaze upon me, a gentle furrow adorning her brow, as she sought to unravel the essence of our woeful plight. Lucas didst present himself in a condition of great bewilderment. All assembled did shiver, ensnared in a snare of doubt, musing whether this were naught but a jest or a scene unfolding before their very gaze. Yet I did abide in silence. With hands entwined before me, I did but wait in tranquil silence, biding my time with patience profound. At last, she did unfasten its seal. And so began the disintegration of that which was once complete. With utmost caution, she did unroll the letter, as if it contained the threat of an imminent explosion. Her gaze did wander o'er the parchment, and I did witness the glimmer of confusion metamorphose into a shadow more dire, her jaw set, her eyes narrowed, the countenance she frequently wore when matters slipped beyond her reach. Her fingers did tremble with but a whisper of movement, yet she battled with all her strength to mask their unrest. Lucas did lean forth to gaze upon it, yet she did angle it from his sight, grasping it as though it were a treasure most private, as if it were solely her own. "What dost thou intend to convey? What dost thou see before thee?" she did inquire, her tone tempered yet sharp as a dagger's edge. I did abide upon my feet. "Pray, utter thy words, for I did beseech with a tranquil countenance. Verily, we convene in this sacred realm to extol the merits of verity and fellowship." She did not, alas. Indeed, she did not. My mother's pride doth mirror granite, cold and smooth, a substance most unwavering, nearly impossible to break. Yet Lucas, with a swift motion, did seize it from her grasp, adorned with that nonchalant smile he oft bore when he fancied the gaze of fortune to be upon him. "Rest thyself, beloved mother," spake he, a soft laughter dancing upon his lips as he tenderly caressed the parchment with diligence. "Hark, let us gaze upon the boon that Elias hath granted unto me. Pray, let it not be yet another discourse, I beseech thee." The chamber held its breath, as if time itself did pause. He did commence his reading, his voice aglow with mirth and cheer at the very outset, as if it were yet another toast to that which holds the utmost significance. As I have oft been denied the chance to utter this sentiment, I deemed thy birthday a most fitting occasion to proclaim it with clarity. He didst slacken his gait, his countenance dimming as he gazed upon the words laid out before him. Verily, I have spent many a year observing this esteemed lineage labor with great passion to make thee the ruler of their affections. He didst pause, and lifted his eyes towards me. Is this a jest most vile? Continue thy reading, I did declare, steadfast in my resolve, calm of countenance, whilst my heart did roar within my breast. Lucas did cast his gaze about, a palpable discomfort washing o'er him, yet in the end, pride did prevail. He pressed forth, yet the rhythm had taken on a new guise. Gone was the merry jest that once did grace the air. His voice did quaver, as he beheld our mother metamorphose each assembly, each dialogue, every fragment of notice into a mirror of contemplation, wherein thou might behold thyself with wonder. Behold, I have witnessed thy rise, yet thy missteps are scattered like fallen leaves of autumn, as others labor to repair the ruin thou hast caused. Yet, by some wondrous chance, thou dost still receive commendations, the delightful essence of admiration, and a multitude of fresh opportunities granted unto thee once more. Hark, the murmurs did begin, the seats did creak, and a few spirits did exchange furtive looks amongst themselves. Mine aunt did shift in her seat, whilst my cousin's mouth did fall agape. I stood still, permitting the silence to gather its weighty load. Lucas did strive to mock, to wear that familiar grin, yet his voice did reveal his true self, shattering asunder. Hark, Elias, what curious matter dost thou present before me? Hark! I did declare, with a flourish towards the letter, this is my gift unto thee, and to mother, and to all gathered who have partaken in the deceit we have spun for countless years. At long last, my mother hath found her voice anew. Do you consider this appropriate? Do you think it noble to cast disgrace upon thy brother on the day of his nativity? Mine jaw did clench with fervent ire, yet I raised not my voice in tempestuous outcry. Thou hast cast upon me a heavy burden of disgrace the moment thou didst lift that cup and speak those words, whilst all gathered didst find mirth, as though I were not present at this very feast. Lucas did hurl the missive upon the table as if it were naught but refuse. Alas, this doth present a woeful condition indeed. Pray, good sir, hast thou selected this day of mine own birth to perform such a merry jest? Thou art called to grow in wisdom. Once did I find mirth, yet it was tinged with the sorrow of a heavy heart. Thou dost yet fail to grasp it. Thou shalt ne'er attain it. Truly, within that envelope didst lie much more, indeed. That missive served as naught but the prelude to a splendid narrative yet to be revealed. What none at that table did perceive, not yet, was that I had, in silence, toiled these past 6 moons to extricate myself from this family's tangled web of dysfunction, severing the bonds they knew not were entwined about me. No more pressing payments shall be granted unto Lucas. Henceforth, I shall cease to lend mine aid to my mother in the toil of tax filings, for she hath ne'er bestowed upon me her gratitude. No longer shall I linger in the dimness of a mere contingency. Furthermore, within that sacred envelope, there resided yet another matter of great significance. Something of great significance, mayhap. Something that doth bind by decree. Yet that fragment. Yet, I have not entrusted mine heart to any soul. Not even mine own most cherished confidant. Verily, I endeavored to carry it out with the highest degree of accuracy. I longed for them to witness, to feel the quaking when the ground didst commence to awaken beneath their very feet. This evening doth serve as but the prelude to that which shall be revealed. The first stroke hath been struck, and I did yearn that each utterance might strike true upon its destined target. Yet I stood resolute, and once again I reached into my coat, drawing forth a second modest envelope which I placed upon the table, this time directly before Lucas. What dost thou desire at this moment? He did speak, his arms entwined, his voice rising in fervent passion. Another discourse, mayhap? Art thou in quest of commendation or accolades of yore? I direct my gaze towards him. Verily, I beheld him with a gaze most earnest and scrutinous, and for the first time in an age, I felt not lessened in his esteemed presence. I did not perceive myself as the lesser option, nor as a mere spectre lingering upon the earth. Verily, nay. I did speak in whispers soft and low. Lo, the burden of responsibility doth lie heavy upon our shoulders. In that moment, Lucas did reveal the second letter, and all did come to a halt. He didst gaze upon the offerings presented unto him. Examine the lines with care. Revisit them yet again. Then didst thou gaze upon me, visage pale and feeble. Mine mother did take it from his hold, and did read a page within. But a scant few lines, penned with utmost diligence upon the fine parchment of legal decree. Yet the weight of it did smite with the strength of a formidable hammer. Lucas beheld me as if I had set forth a most sacred essence into the ether. Mine own mother, as the sands of time did flow, did metamorphose from a state of confusion to one of passionate fury, her cheeks alight with the blaze of her indignation. Her lips did part, then close, and part once more, as if she longed to give voice to a lament, yet discovered herself lacking the proper means to express her woe. Forsooth, what she did grasp was a missive most formal from mine own attorney, affirming that the dominion of our grandfather's cabin, that very cabin, which mine mother and Lucas did ever regard as their own cherished retreat, hath been duly bestowed upon me. The cabin was not merely a place of fond remembrance. It was the legacy bestowed upon us by our esteemed progenitor. The singular and genuine bounty he did bestow upon us at the hour of his leaving, 3 years past. He had held dear that modest dwelling. He did maintain it with unwavering resolve until the final breath of his mortal existence. Summoned us hither each summer's grace. Yet, above all, he did hold me in the depths of his heart. Gently, in whispers lowly spoken. With steadfast determination. Though my mother oft dismissed my humble achievements and regarded me as naught but a bother, dear Grandpa Dean did make it known that I was the one upon whom he placed his trust. Yet, truly, none did ask of me what came to pass after the grave ceremonies of parting. No spirit took note of his departure, for he left behind a letter, inscribed with care, and the keys that did unlock his realm. None did lend an ear when my mother did declare, with steadfast conviction, that the cabin shall, in its appointed time, bequeath itself unto Lucas. Thy grandsire would have wished it so. All did bow their heads in concord. I did not stoop to partake in quarrel. Verily, I did but wait for mine hour. Haste not, until the scroll doth discover its destined course. Upon the hour when the levies of property and the scrolls of transfer did inscribe my name, I did await. Have I lingered until all was secured with utmost care? What dost thou desire at this moment? My patience hath reached its end. Mine comprehension doth slip through mine fingers. At length, mine mother did triumph, her voice wrought with strain, as if she did summon civility through teeth firmly pressed. Truly, this must be naught but a mistake. The cabin was not thine to grant. With measured grace, I did turn mine gaze upon her. Nay, yet it was the privilege of grandfather to grant. And he did grant it unto me. He did bestow upon me his trust, that I might govern it with the utmost diligence. For these 3 years past, I have granted thee and Lucas the liberty to wield it as if it were thine own. I did attend to the care, the repair, and the services of needful import. Thou dost know well the treasure I have granted to maintain the grandeur of that dwelling. She offered no utterance. She beheld the missive, as if it could metamorphose into a marvel should her lashes dance with ample zeal. Lucas did rise with such fervor that his chair did retreat with a clamor. What doth it matter? Thou dost cast us away from our dwelling place. Thou art fated to be that man from this day forth. Nay, I say, I did proclaim with the purest of simplicity. Verily, I proclaim, the untruth shall find its demise. From this day henceforth, neither of ye shall gain entry to the estate. Behold, I have fastened the gates once more. I have apprised the steward of the estate. And in the gaze of the law, thou holdest no right thereto. Therefore, whatever schemes for the summer thou didst devise, cast them away. The tavern did rest in tranquil slumber. Even the servers didst cease their labor, pretending to amend the menus whilst most plainly eavesdropping upon the discourse. I did not lay the burden of blame upon their shoulders. This is but a matter of little import, spake Lucas with scorn. Exceedingly trivial, indeed. Verily, 'Tis naught but a merry trick devised by mother. With steadfast gaze, I beheld him, scrutinizing without falter. It is not the jest that doth hold import. It hath never been but a tapestry woven of many threads. Behold, it hath been a multitude of years, Lucas. Years have I lingered in the shadows, forsaken and cast aside, derided and held in disdain. Alas! Abandoned. This evening I did not rouse a storm. Thou hast accomplished this deed. Behold, I have granted unto thee the truth most profound. He did approach me. Dost thou now consider thyself above us? Do you think that being but a humble technician in this lively city bestows upon you the privilege to look upon your own kin with scorn? Nay, I say. I did declare with a voice both calm and steadfast. To choose peace above the clamor, I discover, bestows upon me the fortitude to no longer endure the march of souls like thine upon my very essence. Mine own mother didst gaze in wondrous astonishment. Perhaps a hint of fear doth remain. She was not wont to hear mine words expressed in such a fashion, yet not without a swift withdrawal in the very next utterance. Upon her lips did part, and in that fleeting moment I beheld the words that were destined to cascade forth. The weight of regret doth press sorely upon the breast. The trembling speech. They were of blood, utterances that did ever stream when fortune did not smile upon her path. Thus did I rend asunder the tie that once bound us so tightly. I shall henceforth abstain from this pursuit. I did embark upon this evening's journey, for I did ponder, mayhap thou wouldst leave me in awe. Perchance, if but once, thou wouldst acknowledge my being in this kin as naught but a humble alternative to thy noble aspirations. Instead, thou didst raise a goblet aloft, and didst declare unto all that I possessed no value. Thus have I wrought mine own selection. Lucas, didst let forth a laugh, laced with a sting of bitterness. Dost thou hold this to be the source of thy might? Thou art akin to a querulous whelp, brimming with spite. I did incline my head with a gentle tilt. Perchance, I ponder the fates that intertwine our destinies. Perhaps I have finally laid aside the mask thou didst fashion for me. At last, the voice of my mother hath pierced the shroud of silence. Pray, be still. Conquered and bound in fetters, we shall engage in conversation regarding this matter within the walls of our dwelling. In solitude's embrace, there exists nothing further to speak of. I did declare. This modest abode doth rightly belong to me. The boundaries are firmly set. Thou art unworthy of my silence henceforth. I did retrieve my coat. With tender heed, I did draw mine chair nigh, securing it in its rightful station. The letter rested upon the table's core, much like a neglected spark upon a barren stretch. I did not bid adieu with parting words. As I turned to take my leave, a fork did clatter upon the floor with a most discordant sound. Mine own cousin doth murmur softly, "Art thou cognizant of this affair?" A gentle sigh of wonder doth escape from yet another spirit. A goblet doth spill its contents forth. Yet, the unique melody that adhered to my spirit, with steadfastness, was the voice of my mother, gentle and quavering, asking of Lucas, "What have we created?" I did not linger to await the answer. Upon the conclusion of that repast, I did not hasten to my dwelling. Upon my arrival at a forsaken perch, just beyond the city's tender grasp, I did alight and tarry, mine eyes beholding the twinkling lights that did dance upon the gentle slopes of the hills. Mine contrivance did hum with unending zeal. Voices unheeded, abandoned to dwell in the stillness. Whispers cast upon the winds of time. Chiefly from Lucas. A modest handful, gifted unto me by my dear mother. None of their inquiries did find reply. Not in this present hour. Time, I did beseech. To ponder not, I implore thee. Mine own choice hath already been made. Yet to take a breath anew. Verily, after countless seasons, I discovered myself liberated from their burden. And what of that deep and weighty hush? It felt as though the sweet embrace of liberation did envelop me. Upon the morrow's light, the missives did change from a state of confusion to one of wrath. Lucas did dispatch a letter through the medium of text. Thou hast ensnared us in a moment of surprise. Verily, thou art most refined, good sir. Indeed, that letter doth bear the semblance of a merry jest. Do you think a humble dwelling doth raise thee above thy brethren? I beseech thee, return my call. In this present hour. Then from my very own mother. We must engage in conversation regarding the happenings of the night that hath passed. Thou hast cast a pall of disgrace upon thy brother in the sight of all. Thou hast always been most grand in thy display. Shall we not engage this discourse with the solemnity that our years do warrant? Elias, thy name doth resonate with noble grace. Truly, I do utter with the highest solemnity. Let not our blood be divided by this foolishness. And so, at length, the moment hath arrived. Good morrow to thee. Follow thy own desires. Yet, do not expect our modest advance when thou dost grasp the foolishness of thine deeds. I made no reply. Instead, I did send forth an electronic missive to mine attorney, seeking assurance that the alteration of the lock was indeed fulfilled. He hath secured a steward of the estate for my service, a spirit well acquainted with the cabin surroundings, to govern all affairs henceforth. I had granted unto thee clear commands. No spirit, be it Lucas or my own dear mother, shall set foot upon this hallowed earth without the blessed decree of my permission. Yet I was well familiar with mine own blood, and I did discern they would not take their leave in quietude. Upon the waning of 2 sons, a missive didst arrive from the steward, Jamie. She was direct and free from artifice, a spirit who spoke with honesty, eschewing the embellishment of verity. Lo, Elias, she hath made her declaration. Indeed, this morn did thy brother and a fair lady, who doth claim the title of thy mother, present themselves. I did close mine eyes. I beseech thee, grant me leave to conjecture. Strive to carry thyself as if they still hold sway o'er this land. Verily, they bore keys, relics of yore, now rendered naught but vain, and sought to impart unto me their intent to merely sojourn and reclaim a few cherished possessions. In mine ear, I could almost discern the self-satisfied tones of Lucas, striving to spin his enchantment and gain passage to my musings. How dost thou accomplish this feat? I did seek knowledge. Unwavering in her grace, she did proclaim. Hark! I do declare unto thee that the estate hath found new guardianship, the names etched upon the parchment being thine own. Should they choose to linger still, I shall be forced to call upon the sheriff's might. With fervent hearts, they did raise their voices high. The matron, thy mother, hath declared that thou dost behave with a wickedness most vile. The knave did begin to bellow regarding the lawyers. With a heart weighed down, I did release a sorrowful breath. With heartfelt thanks, dear Jamie. If they should appear once more, I beseech thee, take it upon thyself to make the call. I shall offer thee my aid in affairs of justice. I shall make haste to proceed forthwith. Verily, I have come upon numerous proud spirits in the course of my days. Thou dost tread the noble course of virtue. Upon the conclusion of our dialogue, I remained ensnared in a deep silence for a brief interlude. Mine heart was not swelled with ire. Mine visage bore no trace of astonishment. This was their essence, their very soul's core. Mine own mother hath labored through countless seasons, pretending that her affection was naught but a mask of encouragement, whilst her disregard for me served as a path to bestow upon me the gift of autonomy. Lucas didst build his very being upon the bedrock of love and delight. Indeed, they did hold the conviction that they might dismiss a decree of justice. For many a year, they have turned a blind eye to the bounds I did decree. Yet this moment shall yield grave consequences. The subsequent moment in which I did receive tidings from them, it was not through letters penned in script. Behold, a letter dispatched to the multitude, a confluence of musings in the air. Ode to the header of discourse. O, sweet kin, forgiveness be the gentle salve that doth ease the burdened soul. The missive's body was of great length, inscribed with clarity by my mother, whilst Lucas, perchance, did linger nearby, casting his vigilant gaze upon her labor. It was abundant with hidden jests, cloaked in the semblance of gentle fondness. Indeed, we dost behold thy sorrow, Elias. This kin hath strayed, yet love shall ever reign supreme. Thou dost perform from a soul laden with sorrow, and truly, thou shalt lament the hour when thou didst forsake us. Lucas, in this hour of trial, doth deserve aid, not disdain. When thou art ready to reclaim thy reason, we shall bestow upon thee our pardon. That last pronouncement did indeed signify the moment of rupture. Would they grant me their forgiveness? I did not utter a word. Instead, I did send forth unto them a copy of the final estate documents, this time with passages illuminated, disclosing that I was not merely the sole legal possessor of the cabin, but that I had also, in formal decree, severed all financial sustenance. Something I had never uttered with my tongue before. Forsooth, for many a year, I have quietly sent forth my coin. Amended shortcomings. Unforeseen charges didst arise when Lucas did falter in his financial duties, or when the household's utilities did find themselves in arrears. From this moment forth, it shall be no more. I did formally sever my ties from their coffers. Mine advocate hath aided me in the forging of the necessary scrolls, that I may shield myself from the weight of any debts they may endeavor to impose upon me in the days that lie ahead. I have sealed the account shared for emergencies. Mine numbers have been changed. Enclosed hath mine social discourse within the bounds of the digital sphere. Lo, I did summon forth a tempest, yet with prudence, within the confines of the law, and for all time everlasting. And so I did remain. They did descend into a silence profound. From this day forth, no further letters shall be dispatched. From this moment forth, let there be no further calls to gather. For the duration of 3 weeks, not a single whisper did reach mine ears. It was a tableau both ghostly and tranquil. Until that fateful hour when I did obtain a letter of substance from my cousin Mel, one of the few kin I still regarded with a modicum of trust. Lo, Elias! Verily, I find myself ensnared in a dilemma, unsure whether to proffer my hand, whilst the storm doth howl around me. Thy mother doth endeavor to craft a web of guilt, urging the family to cleave asunder from thee. She did declare unto all that thou hast stolen the cabin. That esteemed elder hath bestowed it upon thee both, a narrative I perceive to be nothing but a fabrication. Behold, Lucas now seeks shelter at a friend's house, for his mother's home doth not possess the sufficient room to welcome him, and he lays the fault at thy feet for the destruction of his summer's delight. Verily, it is most foul. Hark, grant me leave to bestow this wisdom upon thee. Verily, I do stand in thy favor. I did convey my heartfelt thanks unto her. That letter didst reveal the final blow of fate's cruel hand. What doth linger of my former guilt? Gone hence. They did ever foresee that I should serve as the web of protection, the quiet offspring, the healer of sorrows. Yet truly, the harsh truth doth unfold, that one may only suffer the flame of self-immolation to kindle the spirits of others for but a brief moment, before being cast away to mere cinders. And I had ceased to smolder. In that fair summer, I took a fortnight's leave from my labor and journeyed alone to the cabin. Desolate and alone. As I did traverse the lengthy earthen way, a transformation did stir within the very essence of my soul. The air did lie in hushed repose, as though the very world did hold its breath in solemn anticipation. The trees did gently whisper with the breath of the zephyr. Behold, lo, it was the very cabin of mine own youth. The porch did creak as if to murmur tales of yore, and the screen door, a mournful wail upon its opening, did welcome me anew. Yet, in this present hour, it doth appear transformed, not resembling a home of kindred souls, not as if it were a trifle borrowed or merely a transient gift granted unto me. It did feel most justly earned. Upon crossing the threshold, I didst kindle a flame. Upon the couch I did recline, a volume clasped within my grasp. On the morrow's light, I did partake of coffee upon the deck, whilst gentle deer did roam through the verdant glade. Yet, never did my musings stray to the memory of my mother. Not from the clutches of ill intent, but a mere tranquillity dost reign. To her final missive, I made no reply. Have I not answered the summons to Lucas? Through Mel's whispers, I did discover that they, in due course, abandoned their quest to spin their narrative, for the majority of their kin did turn away from them in disdain. The visage of Lucas, once the cherished offspring, did wane, as I withdrew my sustenance from that illusion with my purse. Behold, it hath been nearly a year since that time. This modest abode doth rightfully belong to me. Mine own being doth belong to me. And the silence I once did fear hath now transformed into mine own sanctuary. There are those who proclaim that blood doth embrace all that is of import. Yet I have come to understand that true kinship doth not lie merely in the mingling of blood. Lo, 'tis he who cometh forth in thy moment of want. Who doth gaze upon thee? Whom dost thou elect? Verily, in this unique instant of mine existence, I did select mine own self.